Hey coach, hope you're enjoying the video. Make sure you subscribe and like. We love those. Also go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. If you want to become a better coach in less than $1 a day, you can do that. My mentor, my personal email address, I will help you become a better basketball coach. Go over and check it out. Let's head back to the video.
All right, welcome to the Basketball Leadership Podcast. Welcome, Coach.
How we doing?
Excellent. I'm finding as I get older, I have to stretch more.
I hear you.
I went for a long walk
my safety
today.
net is I get massages throughout the season to help me get through it.
Do you really?
I do, and life-changing. I mean, I have not gotten sick in years, and I totally attribute it to consistent massages.
And what do you mean by consistent? How long? Often?
Well, it used to be once a month, and a couple of years ago, I said, you know what? During the season, I'm going every other week.
That's a good idea. I'm thinking maybe alternating between that and then the getting stretched. We have a stretch lab in our
Yoga
city.
would probably do the same thing.
Yeah, it would.
I think it clears out all the toxins and the stress that builds in your body, and it just releases them, and then it keeps you healthy. And I'm sold. My first year back coaching, when I was being a principal and a coach at the same time, I down my neck into my arm, I had nerve stuff, and went to chiropractor, wouldn't fix it. I mean, nothing, and it was stress related from just up here. I went to a massage twice, it got rid of it, changed it, and I said, you know what?
Going back. All right.
This
You've
works.
convinced me. Sold.
There you go.
Sold. I'm putting that on my board for next year. All right.
Perfect.
So today we're talking about leadership and adversity.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I think as leaders, as coaches, and I'm a high school principal too, so I deal with this stuff a lot. And true leadership never shows itself until you get a tough time, until you get a tough moment. And for us, from my other role, we've lost staff, to cancer, things like that. I mean, those are tough moments. That's when people really look to you as a leader. The same thing, coaching, maybe not that severe, but you have parents who might pass away. You have grandparents that pass away. Your players, friends and peers. We've had a lot of things happen. I'm sure you have over the years too. And these moments are so critical for us as leaders. And that's when you really determine who you are as a leader, from a kid perspective, but also a coach.
I know. And they make impact. So I'll tell you a story. I had a player that I coached, had to be 30 years ago. Reached out. Somehow we connected on the Twitter sphere or somewhere. And he said, Mr. Collins, I just have to tell you, I was a junior in high school and I had my appendix out, and you were the only person to visit me in the hospital because he had burst and stuff. He goes, I still remember that to this day. Literally 30 years ago. The guy's probably in the mid 40s now.
Yeah.
It's like one thing, that one little, it was leadership in showing him that I cared, but it was adversity for him, yeah. Go, but keep going, Coach.
Yeah, and it's Nick Saban had the quote that if you want to make others happy, sell ice cream, don't be a leader. Like, leadership, it's not all warm and fuzzy. You have to be able to deal with tough things. You have to be able to hold kids accountable or people accountable. You have to have tough conversations, and when these life events happen, people look to you. And I think as a coach, I've had it happen way too much in the last 5 years. In this season, we had a really tough one. We had a player on the team who lost his mom early in the season. And the mom was also an aunt to 2 players on our team, that were brothers. So it affected so much early on. And just how do you get people through that? We've had, so many things like that within our school and just as a coach, and it's hard. And I think for those of us that get into coaching and the young coaches out there, like, you got to understand your influence in this role. Like, we are incredibly influential people. A coach will
Some
impact
some of the
more
most
people in a
influential.
lifetime.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
and in lifetime, but I
Billy
think
Graham has that quote.
sometimes we are more influential than the parents in some respects. I think the good parents know that. Like,
Totally.
that because we have something that they love and that is important, and but I think the adversity and the leadership is, and again, for young coaches listening to this, it's having those courageous the hard conversations. There's a lot of reason coaches get out. Part of it is they don't want to have the hard conversation,
Yep.
both with the parents and the player. And that's part
Yep.
of leading is, I'm going to be brutally honest, but I'm going to be honest. Like, you may not agree with it, but I'm going to be honest.
And honesty is and as a young coach, I thought I was honest. I was being honest, but I wasn't being brutally honest. That's a good word you use. And kids demand and should have honesty, and they usually respond when you do that. And when you start having these conversations and you have the first tough one, they become so much easier. You realize kids want accountability, they want honesty. Parents can accept it most of the time, but when you kind of get wishy-washy and you hem and haw and you try to make a little promise or try to meet him in the middle, it never
Never
works.
works.
It only makes it worse. So you might as well just be 100% honest and upfront, and come at it from a relationship, I care about your kid approach. Nothing is ever personal, and you feel better as a coach. And I think
And it's
you're
too
true to
old.
yourself.
It's quote, I'm using air quotes for those who are listening. For the older coaches that are sitting talking to each other right now, we also have experience and a little bit of freedom, in the sense that I'm not 23. If they tell me I can't coach tomorrow, okay.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So I think there's a little bit of that too. I'm a realist about that. There's a little bit of that I can
totally.
be. I can just, I'm gonna, and I've got street cred, and they're not gonna fire me because I have a honest conversation with a kid.
Yep.
But I'm gonna tell you that if you want to do this for long haul, the wishy-washy is what's gonna get you fired.
Yeah.
The Johnny might play, but no, Johnny, you're the 11th man, and here's
Yep.
why you're the 11th man. I care about you. I want to play you. Here's what you need to do if you want to be the 7th man and maybe play some.
Yep.
But if you're like, oh, I can, maybe you'll play like it, then the wishy-washy gets multiplied 7 times before it gets home.
And it affects your team, it affects the culture,
It
becomes
affects everything.
contagious.
Yes.
It gets ugly. And yeah, without question. And that's the kind of politics of coaching. When you're younger, you have to be honest, but your approach might be a little bit different than what we're able to do.
Right.
Um, but that's all the process. And that's why I really hope administrators and ADs and people that are working with coaches, you got to help young coaches navigate through these times and be there to support them, because it's not easy.
No.
But they need support and guidance, especially from the people that are leading them, to help them through those times, especially as a young coach.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the step. Anything else with any other tidbits of advice, coach?
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it.
All right. I'll give one.
Yeah,
Adversity is going to always happen.
guaranteed.
Always. So it's
just
what you're
you
going to
better
do.
be prepared for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the key is like, I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, I was telling you about, like, I wasn't expecting to lose 5 of my starters this year with injury.
Yeah.
It happens. I can either feel bad about it, or I can pivot and, move on and try to pick the other people up. So
Yeah.
that'd be my last parting words is
You have no other choice.
no other choice. All right. Till next week.
Thanks for watching, Coach. Make sure you go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Make sure you subscribe so you get notified every time we come back on. But you will not be disappointed with teachhoops.com. 14-day free trial. Let's go check it out. Have a great day.